Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to A Coder's Journey. This is the third episode of our, series about implementing the CQRS pattern in a web API project. I've got my note here as well as my, project. I'm going to go through the topics of this video, and we're going to see how to implement each change on the branch that I have created for this episode. So controller setup, episode number 3. Here we want to create a controller that will act as the entry point for our application, and that controller will allow us to communicate with MediatR, send our commands, queries, right, and then receive responses. Of course, you can implement your web API using the minimal API template. In this series, I have decided to go with controllers. In one of the other series that I've got here on this YouTube channel, I have used minimal API, fast endpoints, and CQRS. I think that playlist that I'm talking about is about modular monolith architecture. Anyway, so we are going to create a controller called employee controller, and of course inside the controllers folder, and then we're going to use this template, right, to create this file, and we're going to name our file employee controller. And inside of this controller, as you can see, what I've done is that I have imported the MediatR pattern. I have imported the MediatR package namespace, and then this is the controller that I have. It is inheriting from controller base. Then using dependency injection, I have injected a dependency on this interface coming from the namespace, right, MediatR library. And then I am capturing this inside of this private read-only field in order to be able to communicate with it. And because in the previous episode, if you remember, because we configured the MediatR library inside of our program.cs, so the IOC container of our application is going to inject the correct concrete implementation of this dependency at runtime. So take a look here at my project. I am on branch number 3, episode number 3, and I can go and check the commits that I've got here. So if, for example, I double click here, you will see the changes that I've got here. Let me make more room. So if you take a look, this is the employee controller that didn't exist before, right? So what we have done is that we have created this file, right? We have created this employee controller file. We have, as I told you, imported this MediatR namespace. We are capturing the dependency inside of the constructor in like a private read-only field. And you can, of course, go to your solution and check out the controller that I've got here. Back to our note. So we decorate the controller with route API controller to define the API endpoint and API controller. So this is all related to ASP.NET Core, which is not the focus of this course right now, because I'm assuming you are already familiar with ASP.NET Core. Then injecting the MediatR. So what we are doing is that we are injecting an instance of this interface in the constructor of our controller, and MediatR will automatically resolve this dependency, as I told you, because we have kind of configured this inside of our program.cs file, right? And then this MediatR, this interface, will provide some methods like send and publish that we're going to use in order to be able to implement the CQRS pattern. Let's talk a little bit about the iSender and iPublisher interfaces. So from MediatR version 9, the interface iMediatR was split into two different interfaces, iSender and iPublisher. And these are used for different purposes. So basically, iSender is an interface that contains a method called send, which is used when you want to send request to a single handler, so a command, right? Because this MediatR library can also be used to send notifications, which we will cover in the upcoming episodes. So you've got commands, you've got queries, you've got notifications. So notifications basically are requests that are going to get handled by more than one handler. But if you are sending a request that will be handled by only one handler, that is called for that purpose, you are using the iSender interface, because as I told you, iSender is used to send one request, and that one request is going to be handled by one handler, and then a response is going to return, right? So you can use iSender in your controller if you want to be more explicit about sending requests. You've got iPublisher. iPublisher has a method called publish, which is used to send notifications, as I told you. So notifications are requests that are going to be handled by more than one handler, right? We will talk about these, by the way. Inside of this playlist, you're going to see how to implement commands, queries, notifications, how to implement handlers, and you're going to see all of them using, examples, and I've got some unit tests as well that we're all going to, talk about. So iMediator, the interface that we talked about and that we added to our controller, right? It is called iMediator. So this iMediator inherits from iSender and iPublisher. So with this iMediator, you can use both of them. You can use iSender to send simple requests. You can use iPublisher to send notifications. So you've got this iMediator. When you use iMediator, you have access to iSender and iPublisher. You can, send requests and publish notifications. For requests, sometimes we use the word sending requests. But for notifications, requests that are going to be handled by more than one handler, we use the word publish. So inside of our employee controller, we are using iMediator, which provides all the necessary functionality. So this will be the object that is going to mediate, that is going to, manage the communication between our controller and the mediator library, which is going to be responsible for creating commands, queries, responses, and so on. So that was all for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. If that's the case, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on any of the upcoming videos that I've prepared. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.